friend Cindy Houston here, and I'm here to share with you the next posture, which is Adho Mukha Svanasana, which is down dog. And there's a few variations that I'll share with you. And this posture is really great for opening the shoulders, stabilizing. It can help reduce stress. Some have found that it's helped with menopause or strengthening the bones, also for osteoporosis. So I just want to get on here and share some tips with you about that. So I'm going to step back to my mat. And so there's a few ways you can get into down dog. Some will get into down dog from a sun salutation, right? Where we step our feet together and we inhale, reach up. And we exhale, draw down. And so you could just step straight back to down dog. So in down dog, you want to have your feet hip distance apart. You want to have your hands shoulder distance or wider. So if someone has tight shoulders, it can be helpful to bring those pinky fingers all the way to the outer edge of the mat. And you definitely want to feel that you can comfortably breathe here. So I'm going to lower to tabletop, which is another way that you can get into down dog. You want to make sure that you can comfortably breathe. And also that there's no pain. So if you have any sort of shoulder injury, or if you're in the later term of your pregnancy, you want to avoid doing down dog unless you have been practicing for quite some time. And even then, it could be a contraindication. So another way, little tip for down dog is one way to make sure that you have your legs at hip distance apart is if you take your block, you want to bring that block right up to the pubic bone. And then once I do that, I want to squeeze my thighs against the block and I want to spread my toes. And maybe even see if I can bring my feet a little closer together. Sometimes when we put the block between the thighs, the hips and the tailbone stick out. So we can think about pressing that pubic bone forward and maybe getting a little more length in the lower back. So if you're practicing with a block, and if you don't have a block, you could use a pillow. You could even fold up a blanket and get that same sensation. Something that will help keep those legs hip distance apart, but also something that you can squeeze in and lift up. The yogis call that mula bandha. Okay, so we're going to just fold down again and see what it feels like to step those feet back. And so you want to keep the prop between your thighs. Don't let the prop drop. Okay, great. So this is a really great way to activate your legs in your down dog. Squeezing in and lifting up. That lift up is all the way from the base of the pelvis, all the way to your navel, all the way up the top of your head. So energy is moving that direction, the legs. Now I'm going to drop down to the knees, and I'm going to show you a great way to check on your arms. So I'm going to grab my yoga strap here. And so if you don't have a yoga strap, you could use a belt, something that you could loop up. And you want to have this loop big enough that you can slide your arms inside the strap and press out. You don't want to press out so far that your arms go outside of your shoulders. And that's pretty good. This can also be helpful for any sort of handstand practice, handstand strengthening. So once I have my arms inside the strap, and I'm going to come down inside onto my mat here, is I'm going to bring my hands down to the ground. And so I want to press out into the strap, and then I want to look at my inner elbows. Since the inner elbows is that crease of the elbows, I want to make sure, some people will call that the eyes of the elbows. I want to make sure the eyes of the elbows are rotated in. Now, if I want to try and go into that down dog again, imagine that yoga block is still between the thighs, and some of us might still have it there, squeezing in and lifting up, and then we're going to straighten the legs. Now you might find your forehead touches the strap, and that's okay. And you definitely just want to have your strap just slightly above the elbows. It doesn't have to go too far up. Okay, and giving your forehead a place to rest can be really supportive for the neck. Just try a few breaths here. Again, if there's any pain, we want to come out of it. Okay, after your third exhale, let's lower the knees down. Okay, we're going to slide that strap up. I'm going to show you one more modification for down dog. So this, we're going to use the wall. So I'm going to bring my hands shoulder height, okay? And then I'm going to walk my feet back at least mat distance, and you might even take them a little bit wider. And so when you come back, you want to have the hands in line with the shoulders and the ears in line with the biceps. So a great way to check that is just look under each armpit and just make sure that you can see under the armpit and that the head isn't dropping down, but is lifting up. Okay, now you can really use that wall to press the wall away, like you're trying to push the wall down, and send your hips to the wall behind you. Now just in down dog, if this is too much for your hamstrings, bend your knees. Help that support your lower back. I would try at least 3 breaths here and maybe more, right? It could feel really good. When you're ready to come out of it, walk your feet together and then slowly roll up through the spine, stacking one vertebra at a time as you come up to standing. I'll give one more tip, and this one's for the wrists. You can also do the same thing with the feet. So if you have sensitive wrists, I would roll up the yoga mat. And a couple options is, one, you can put the heels of your hands right on top of that roll and let your fingers hang over. Or it might feel better to have the finger pads on top of the roll and have your wrists hang back. Most people like to have the heels of the hands on the roll. But same thing, you could do this with the block and the strap and try one more down dog and see if you were having any sort of wrist pain, did it relieve? Spreading your fingers and toes, pressing the outer legs, outer arms out, rotating the inner arms, inner legs in. And this one you might try to walk 2, 4, or 6 steps coming to the front of the mat. If your hands come off the mat, bend your knees, then we'll all bend our knees and slowly come on up to standing. So that's Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. Please let me know if you have any questions. I hope it was helpful, and we'll see you for the next posture.